Hello and welcome to the From the Finney podcast with me, Jake.
And me, Dan.
We are Ollie-less this week. He's no broadband because he just moved to Manchester, but Dan and I will be talking through the Brentford victory, Alex Neil and his mind games, the tactics and a few other things, and we'll also look ahead to the Birmingham game on Saturday as well. How are you, mate? You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Feels like yonks, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. International break is horrible for football.
Yeah, they're not.
It feels longer than the summer break.
In a weird way, I know what you mean. Even though I enjoy watching England, I know some people don't, which I don't understand, but to each their own. But yeah, I know what you mean. It feels a bit longer than the summer break.
It just drags, doesn't it? Because
you
know what's going on in your season, but you've got the full 10 or 14 days or whatever to wait for.
Yeah.
It's sort of,
I think for me, one of the reasons is that there's like you're about ready to go into the season, and then it's like there's no club football, so you've nothing to like. For me, anyway, I have nothing to like break up my week, and like things to look forward to and whatnot. But anyway, yeah, it was a good win yesterday. Very happy with that. I was a little bit apprehensive heading into it. I don't know why. I just think it's this irrational thing that I've developed about Brentford from back in League One. Brentford
have always been. I mean, Ollie would hate me for mentioning the phrase if he was here, but it's bogey teams, isn't it? He's like, he always says things more than 6 months ago don't matter, but there are bogey teams, and Brentford is certainly one of them.
Yeah, like I said, it's this like irrational thing that I've developed about Brentford, which is completely irrational because we beat them at home last season.
Well, before yesterday, we'd beaten them twice in our last 14 games against them.
Oh, right, maybe it's not irrational then. I take that back.
We did have a bad record. Speaking of bad records, actually, before yesterday, we'd also only won 2 of our last 9 games that were the first games back after an international break.
Yeah, I knew it was bad. I'd gone into it a little bit when I wrote that piece for Playmaker about our start to the season, and sort of reviewed the August. And one of the points that I kind of focused on in that was after international breaks, we never seemed to come back very well. With the one exception last season being the Rovers one, that obviously we won 4-1, I think it was.
That one, yeah.
And I mean, we can only go off what we've done so far this season, which is 1 international break and 1 win post international break. So it's as good as you can get.
Decent, yeah, 100%. Just like our record.
Yeah, well, we'll come on to that in a bit.
Indeed.
But no, yeah, yesterday it was a good game, good 3 points. Tactically, one of the best I think I've seen. And I know Ollie's not here, but he would definitely agree with me. And he's probably going to hate me for saying this, but he messaged me after about 5 minutes yesterday saying how tactically erect he was. But yeah, we'll leave that.
Put that in the wide.
He'll absolutely hate the fact that I've just brought that up.
That's a very me thing to say, actually. I must be.
Yeah, it is. It is
like
a very
phrase rubbing off on
him. Well, speaking of Ollie, again, even though he's not with us, obviously, he's sent through a little bit of like a tactical analysis, which I'll do.
To get it in there, didn't he?
You are?
Couldn't help himself. He had to get it in.
Yeah, well, I might not do it justice, but we'll see. Yeah, so it was a 4-1 against a 3-4-3. Very aggressive in the first defensive phase, the front 3 against their back 3. Their wing backs were the spare sort of wider men, if you will. The wider centre mids had to cover a lot more, get across to the wing backs if they beat our first press. And the dilemma would come if they beat it, that their wide players in the front 3 could either run behind our fullbacks or come short which would leave more often than not our fullback 2v1 defensively at times. Generally, though, we pressed well. DJ and Brown covered well, and the fullbacks were very disciplined. Despite obviously Rafferty got done a few times with the run behind him.
I think we're both planning to go into Rafferty a little bit more later on, but generally he was solid. He played 2 superb balls for both of the goals. The first one he got the actual assist, and the other one he played into Darnell, obviously.
No, he didn't get the assist for the first.
Was it not him?
No, it was Ledson. He played the ball. I think he played the ball. He played the ball in for the initial bit, and then it came back out to Ledson, and he played the ball in.
There's me peddling nonsense again.
Yeah, you rubbish, Dan, honestly.
I've watched it back.
I could be wrong, but I'm almost certain it was Ledson.
No, I think I read a match report that said it was Ledson as well, but I just thought it was wrong.
But I clearly don't watch football in the same way that Ollie does. To be honest, I've never met many people that do. But it was. I noticed as well how disciplined our fullbacks were, and I think this takes us nicely on to the next section of the mind games and stuff. But Alex Neil, well, we'll not go into it fully yet, but I'll mention a bit from it in that Alex Neil said to BBC Lancashire after the game about people getting on the backs of the players during the game, like the fans, for not getting out to the Brentford players quick enough, letting them run at the defenders, and he basically said it was all done by design. We wanted to be very compact and wanted the fullbacks now around the edge of the box, and that sometimes people just need to relax a little bit and trust him and trust what he's doing.
Yeah, I completely get that. I mean, around where I sit in the Finney, there was a lot of push out. You know, when we cleared a corner, there was push out, clear out, get to him. I'm sure. Get up the pitch. I'm sure that person around you was going forward.
Yeah, if you're listening, lady, you're annoying.
But yeah, I mean, I've always been one of those people who's like just assumed that if we had a goal lead, we'd cock it up and just always complain about inviting pressure on. But
yeah, I was trying to. I was at an award ceremony on Friday night with work, and it's going to sound so negative, but being a North End fan, I've like conditioned myself to just expect the absolute bare minimum.
Yeah.
So that I'm not disappointed when it does happen.
Yeah, I don't
explain it to my colleagues at this awards do on Friday night, and I was like, I'm not expecting us to win anything, so that if we don't, then I'm not disappointed. But if we do, I'll be buzzing. And I mean, we ended up winning Medium Business of the Year award at the Beavers on Friday night, so it was good. But I'm the same with North End, and it's because of North End that I'm that way. Like I always just expect the worst.
Yeah, I think I'm the same.
To be honest, I think a lot of North End fans similar age to us are.
You won't get a lot of flack for that. I mean,
I probably will, but I don't care.
I mean, if you grew up around, like, if your earliest experiences of North End were sort of 2000, 2001, 2002, then your mindset's going to almost certainly be quite similar.
Yeah, probably. Well, yeah, I think If you've lived through the West Ham and the Bolton playoffs, and then obviously the Rotherham in League One.
Luckily, the Bolton one was just before me. The West Ham season was my second season going on.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That probably shows our age gap a little bit. Although we're only 3 years apart, aren't we? But
yeah, it's not massive. Not massive. And then there's obviously the Leeds one under Billy Davis, where they beat us in the semis.
Oh,
there's the Rotherham one in League One, where they beat us in the semis. Although we got a nice Joe Garner goal like that, so
anyway,
not the end of the world. Yeah. Anyway,
cheer it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean that sort of brings us back to the Brentford thing. We're just expecting the worst. There was that game a few years ago. Was it in League One or was it our first season back in the Championship where we were 1-0 down in like the 80th minute? We ended up losing 5-0. Ollie's told me on a couple of occasions that that's his favourite North End game ever because of the reaction on Twitter afterwards.
I think, was that not our first season back at this level? We didn't start too well under Grayson.
No, it was later on in the season.
No, was it? I thought it was early on. And then we had Bournemouth soon after it in the cup, and that was when he brought Ben Pearson in for that game, and we beat Bournemouth in the cup. Big Simon Mackinock scored a hat-trick. I could be completely wrong, but I thought it was Brentford that we played and we got absolutely tonked by. Anyway, don't matter.
But yeah.
I remember them beating us 5-0. I remember the game that you're on about when 3 or 4 of the goals came within the last 10-15 minutes, and like I said earlier on, they just seem to have infiltrated my mind to make me a little bit wary. More so than any other team. It's weird. But I think talking about minds, Alex Neil's mind games, if you can call them that, recently been very coy about the injuries and the length of the injuries, who's available, who's unavailable, and Hughes has been coming back since the Swansea away game.
Yeah,
and I'm sure it was that game that the club tweeted that he just missed out, and then I think every week since then, people have been like, "Oh, he's going to be back this week. He's going to be back this week. He's going to be back this week." Which obviously you would imagine is going to keep the opposition guessing as well.
I think it's part of his plan. I mean,
yeah.
Me and my dad, when we were leaving the game yesterday, were discussing whether we thought it was deliberate or not. And on reflection, I can't see it not being deliberate, really.
No, things like that aren't a coincidence.
He's a smart bloke.
Yeah, and from what we've discussed it on previous pods, from what some of the players have said since he's come in about him being one of the most hard-working, thorough managers that they've played for, that is just another thing that just fits into that description of him.
I think it was,
the other thing to note as well is that obviously both goal scorers yesterday were a doubt before the game, and then both started. And I think, to be honest, Maguire maybe more than Barkey, but both stood out as probably some couple of the better players on the pitch, I think, alongside the 2 centre-backs. Just electric pace. We've seen it against Wigan, we've seen it against, maybe not, Barkey, I suppose you could say, against Stoke. Who else have we played at home? Chef Wednesday. You can see the pace in behind the trouble and the panic that it causes in defences.
It stands to reason that if Brentford had expected them to be injured, they wouldn't have focused on preparing for or setting up to counter of that sort of direction and pace. And I mean, the result in the goal scorers yesterday pretty much solely vindicates Alex Neil's tactical choices.
Yeah, no, it definitely does.
Both goal scorers being apparently injured. I don't think Brentford would have prepared for them. I think that's what it is. Because if you look, both goals, I mean, they were different goals in a way, but both of them, the forward got, whether it was Maguire or Barkhuizen, got a total run on their man. Maguire was far too open.
Yeah, well, I think it was it a bad touch or something from the Brentford player?
Yeah,
that it fell to him, and
it was good that Maguire managed to sort of rearrange his body, because it was a little, like you said, it was a little bit awkward. It didn't seem to fall too kindly for him, but he got it under control, shifted his body again, and poked it under the keeper.
Yeah,
very well. a player like Maguire can do for you is because he's quite small, low centre of gravity. He can twist.
Yeah, he's very diminutive, isn't
he? Yeah.
That I think that low centre of gravity and the way that he gets his body in between the ball and the defender, and then added to that the way that he's probably one of our he's probably one of our most direct players in terms of running with the ball at feet at defenders. Billy Bowden is direct, but in a different way. He's got a trick or two up his sleeve. Barkey is brilliant at running in behind. Pardon?
Bowden sort of makes a beeline rather than.
Yeah. Barkey's brilliant at running in behind and just sort of off the shoulder and into the space. But then Maguire, if he's got the ball at his feet and half a yard, he'll just turn and run at you. You know, he's not bothered whether there's 5 defenders in front of you or 1. And the fact that he's so small, I think, is another thing that works in his favour when he's playing like that, because, you know, if he comes up against a big 6'5" centre back who's a bit lumbering and puts an arm on him or something like that, and I'm not condoning him diving or anything like that, but you know, if that happens, he goes over and gives the ref a decision to make. By the way, we should have definitely had 2 penalties, I thought, yesterday.
Well, I was going to say there were a couple where he did look like he got taken out. The one in the second half was right in front of me, and there was definitely contact.
Yeah, the first one was nailed on for me. It was right down in front of me.
Your end, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. The second one, I think it was a pen, but obviously it was down the other end of the pitch, so I wasn't as convinced. But the first one, he definitely had his leg taken out.
Well, there was contact in the second one because the ref didn't book him.
No, well, he didn't give it for a handball or something.
Well, I don't know.
I'm sure I saw the ref motion into his hands.
Yeah, might have been, but I didn't see any handball because I just saw him go down.
Yeah, there was no handball, none whatsoever. He was an odd ref yesterday. Like when he stopped it on the halfway line right in front of the managers and
gave the possession back, which was
for what? Because there was a tussle going on for one of the teams trying to win possession from the other one.
Was it? I mean, DJ was like sat on the ball.
Yeah, and he had 2 Brentford players either side of him, and he just blew up and stopped the play.
And gave Brentford the ball back, uncontested. Yeah. That's right. But I mean, I actually praised the referee, specifically half time, because I thought he was having a very good game. And then he seemed to lose it a little bit in the second.
He just went west in the second half. Yeah. Weird, very weird.
But we've had worse, in fairness.
Pardon?
We've had worse, in fairness.
Oh yeah, definitely had worse. Yeah, it'll not be the worst we'll see this season, but just to miss obvious decisions like that, I don't know. Yeah.
No, just after Potts came on as well, and Potts fouled left, right, and centre. He kept having against him.
He was getting it all the time, wasn't
he? Yeah.
I think Alex Neil actually said to Radio Lancashire that the ref said to him that just because there's contact in the box, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a penalty. And even Alex Neil said, I'm not really sure what he meant by that. And I have to agree, I'm not. If there's contact in the box and he goes down, like...
Yeah, if you don't get the ball with
it, yeah.
I
don't know.
Exactly about it, but yeah.
We still won. Got 2 more goals. Got the
2 goals from open play as well.
Yeah, good to see. But yeah, I think we'll call that part 1 if that's good with you, mate.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. Right, we'll have a little break. I'll go and make a brew, put the heating on, close the curtains, and we'll come back for part 2.
Welcome back to part 2 of the From the Finney podcast. In the second part, we're going to talk about our 100% home record and have a little look forward to the Birmingham City game this Saturday. So, Jake, what do you think about the 100% home start?
Yeah, the home start. Well, I mean, the start to the season on the whole has been great, but our home form. I mean, if I'm being simple, it's been brilliant. The last time that I felt like I do going on a home game at the minute was back when Billy Davis was in charge. Always remember being I always remember Deepdale being a bit of a fortress back then. So it's nice to have that feeling back, even if it is only early on in the season.
I mean, like in the couple of seasons towards the end of our spell in League One, there was sort of the assumption that we'd win most games.
Yeah,
it just doesn't feel quite the same when you're sort of expecting to get out of the league, does it?
Yeah, without wanting to sound like an absolute knobhead.
Yeah.
When you're on the run that we were on in League One that season, we came up in the playoffs. You just kind of felt like you were going to win every home game anyway.
Yeah.
But now we're at a higher level. To have 12 points from 12 available in the league this season at home is. I couldn't have asked for better. Scored 10 goals, conceded only 2.
Yeah. Was it Wigan, Sheffield Wednesday, Stoke, and Brentford?
Yeah.
Not a bad side among them.
No. Well, Wigan.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't even say Wigan are that bad a side.
I don't think they're great, to be honest. I think they'll be bottom 3.
You think?
Yeah. But we've scored the most home league goals in the league this. Oh, fuck's sake! Let me start again. We've scored the most home goals in the league this season, and we're still the only side with a 100% record as well in the Championship, which is again a nice little accolade to have at the moment, and long may it last.
Exactly. We're the home invincibles so far.
The home invincibles. I like that. Well, the other thing as well is since the start of last season, I mean, it's been quite widely spoken about how we're pretty quick starters, but no side in their championship, I think in the championship, have scored more goals in the opening 15 minutes than we have, with 15 goals coming in the opening 15 minutes. And 11 of those have come at Deepdale. So again, it's just another stat just to reinforce how strong we are at home. And obviously we like a quick start.
I think all our home games this season, I can't remember if our first goal against Stoke was in the first 15 or not, but certainly Wigan and Brentford.
Yeah.
We've started very quickly, got a quick goal, and it's immediately put us on the front foot. And then Alex Neil's tactically sort of sunk back a little bit, but like he says, that's been his approach, and it's worked 100% of the time so far at home at least. So
yeah,
I'll complain.
I think Swansea was one of the few games under Alex Neil that we've taken the lead and not gone on to get anything from it as well.
Well, it's the first and only time we've lost after scoring first.
Is it
under Alex Neil? Yeah.
Bloody hell, that's some record
in the league. I think that is. I think we've done it in the cup, haven't we?
But just another example of a game this season that we can count ourselves massively unlucky not to have gotten something from. And obviously, I don't want to go over all ground too much because we've spoken about it on previous podcasts. But
no one's beaten Swansea yet.
It's just no. I think the
title of that.
The last team to beat Swansea at their place was Man City, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
In the League Cup last season.
As the title of that, not the top 20 podcast says, no luck beating them Swans then.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good hot. I love a Hot Fuzz reference as well. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I think it's pleasing to see the progress we've made under the gaffer though. Obviously last season the pain point was the injuries and the poor start. For whatever reason, obviously last season we just couldn't get going for best part of 10, 15 games, whatever it was. But we showed through that middle section what we're about and what we're capable of. And it's nice to see now that we're becoming a more well-rounded side, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's sort of the fact that under Grayson we were the side that would turn up to an away game and sort of ruin a team's day.
Yeah.
And we seem to get our enjoyment from that, and we also seem to get, if not a majority, then certainly a fair portion of our points from doing that. But now we're not a bad away side. We've started average away from home, if a little bit.
I'd say probably a little bit worse.
Yeah, a little bit below average.
One point on the road away from home.
Yeah, it's not good.
I mean, performances have been good. Obviously, first half at Swansea we mentioned.
Yeah.
Forest, I think we can count ourselves unlucky not to have gotten more than a point from.
Well,
Millwall is just, it is what it is.
The Forest game was a bit of an anomaly this season, because this season, I know there's only been a limited amount of games so far, but we seem to have taken our chances when we've had them. But the Forest game, we probably should have been 3 up by half time.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. Well, we've got another away game coming up on Saturday, Birmingham City away. For me, it's a bit of a weird one.
They're a bit of a strange quantity at the moment, Birmingham, aren't they?
Yeah, everything. I mean, I'll hold my hands up. I don't profess to know much about them or their style of play, other than what's put out in the media and what I hear on podcasts and like places like Not the Top 20. Their manager Pep Clotet doesn't seem to be rated as a manager, really. Everything that I've read and heard about him seems to be good coach, good assistant, but not quite able to cut it as a manager. But at the time of recording, they're 8th. They've won 4 of their opening 7 games. So, pretty solid enough start. Pardon?
They're unbeaten at home as well, which is what's going to make it tricky. Trip down for us. But we do usually quite enjoy ourselves at St Andrews.
Yeah, well, it will be a tough game. The atmosphere down at St Andrews is always on the fiery side, shall we say. But DJ's, well, obviously Robbo last year as well, but DJ's one that always seems to up his game with his Villa ties. So if he can replicate some of his recent form, then...
And then times that by what he usually does at St Andrews.
Yeah, exactly. But I think from a North End fan on Birmingham, that's about as far as my sort of knowledge goes.
I don't know much about Clotet myself. I just find it a little bit bizarre that they've had a caretaker manager for so long.
Yeah, it's an odd situation, obviously, with the owners as well.
They did something different, did something similar as well, didn't they? They've had a caretaker for a while.
Yeah, what the hell was he called? Lee Bullen, was it?
Yeah, something Bullen. Might have been Lee,
or Steve Bullen, someone I don't bloody know.
But yeah, I think it's going to be a difficult game, and it'll be.
It will be. I mean, from a stats point, sorry.
I was just going to say, it'll be a good test of whether we've found our feet yet away from home, because we usually do well there, but it's going to be a tricky game. So I guess we'll see where we stand.
Yeah, well, from a stats point of view, I don't think they've performed too well, or they've not looked so good so far this season. But obviously they've outperformed that, which from a fan's point of view, there's nothing wrong with. I can't remember who it was against. I think maybe Brentford, that they played them and they had one shot on target, which was a header from outside the box, and it went in, and they won 1-0. I think if that's not been a sort of story of their season so far, if you will, then I don't know what is. Yeah, but I'm sure Gab Sutton, who we've got in to do the opposition view for our match preview later this week, will provide a bit more insight into Birmingham and Pep Clotet and their start to the season. You can follow him on Twitter. He's just @_football lab.
Be interesting to see what he personally thinks of Pep Quartet as well.
Yeah, no, it definitely will.
First-hand view of what the fans think of him, because there is always a something of a disconnect between caretaker managers and fans.
Well, Quartet was there last year, wasn't he? Under Monk, he was Monk's assistant.
Yeah. But I can't say I'd have any sort of predilection to a fan-manager relationship with, say, Frankie McAvoy or somebody like that.
But yeah, so that'll be out on the website later this week. You can check that out. But I can see you've got in your notes here, Dan, a little bit about Jude Bellingham.
Yeah, Jude Bellingham. He's a 16-year-old lad. Put something unbroadcastable about the fact that he was born in 2003.
Yeah, it makes me feel like an old fart. I'm only 27.
What it makes me feel about my life, being 24 and, not a professional footballer.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's an incredible prospect. He's already scored 2 league goals this season. As well.
He's a big lad.
Yeah.
I saw who the hell was it? Portsmouth. I saw the Birmingham Portsmouth game in the cup on TV, and he played in that, and he's an absolute unit. Looking at him, you wouldn't. There's no way on earth you'd look at him and go, "Oh yeah, he's 16." You'd think like maybe 21, 22, 23 sort of age. But tell you what, credit to the kid. He's got a career in front. He's got some career in front of him if he carries on at his current rate of.
Well, if he carries on at his current rate, he'll be at an elite club in 2021.
Yeah, definitely will.
And I mean the football season, not the year.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah.
They've also got Lucas Jutkovic, who scored 3 league goals already this season. Who isn't? I mean, technically speaking, he's not the most talented forward. It's why he's never really made it in the Prem when he's got to move to somewhere like Burnley. But he always seems to have a good game against us.
I was just going to say that. He's always one that seems to have done pretty well when he's come up against us. Probably, you could say, a bit like Newey for Sheff Wednesday.
God, let's not go into him again.
Yeah, let's not talk about him. But it's going to be a tough one. And I think right now, if you offered me a point, I'd take it.
I think so, especially considering they're 8. And I mean, you can't expect that they'll fall away because, as you say, statistically they've not started that well. So
I mean, for the sake of my predictions, I hope they fall away because I had them bottom 3.
I don't think I had them very far up either. If not in the relegation, I genuinely can't remember my prediction.
I think there's a bit of a love-hate thing with stats at the minute, and I think the fact that Birmingham are massively outperforming their things like their XG at the minute, there's no way they can keep that up over a season, and you would argue that the numbers will catch up with them eventually.
Although, I mean, conversely, our XG was consistently lower than it was. The amount of goals we scored last year was consistently lower than our expected goals.
True. I'll take that back.
It is quite widely being accepted as a.
It's more of a trend indicator, I think, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing. There's a lot of people who say that, but it's becoming quite widely respected. It's now expected goals is now one of the stats that rolls along the bottom of Match of the Day under the post-match interviews and stuff like that. And it's just seems to be creeping its way into the mainstream a little bit.
Yeah, slowly. But yeah, I think unless you've got anything else to add, mate, we'll call that a pod.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm all revved up for Birmingham away. I think it'll be fascinating. I'm quite looking forward to it. In fact,
before we finish, anyone that's got this far to the pod, and if you normally tune out before the outro, just know that there's not going to be a podcast next week because yours truly is on his honeymoon in Mexico. So I will not be editing any podcasts, unfortunately. But we'll try and increase our written content output for you. And I might have a surprise as well.
I've got a Ben Pearson piece coming out soon.
Yeah, I've got a piece on Maguire coming out. I think a few of the other lads have got. I think Ollie's planning on something around the tactics, and I think there's a piece on Patrick Bauer coming as well. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And yeah, thanks for listening to episode 15 of From the Finney podcast. If you're not already, you can subscribe to us on Apple, Spotify, wherever it is that you get your podcasts from. I think we're on pretty much all of them now, barring one or two.
Certainly all the main ones.
Yeah, I was going to say, and if you're not listening to us on Apple or Spotify, then where the hell are you listening to us? We're also trying to plan in for the future a fan guest for our monthly review episodes. So I don't know if you've not listened to August's monthly review. It was episode 14. We had a fan on, and myself and Jimmy spoke about August and just reviewed the month and all the different talking points. So if you're interested in coming on that, just get in touch with us on Facebook or Twitter, or drop us an email on just from the Finney at gmail.com. When we'll sort something out. We've already got someone penciled in for September, and I think we've got someone penciled in for October. So I know it's working way in advance here, but yeah, if you that sounds like something you want to get stuck in with, then give us a shout. We've got a few stickers that we're happy to give away. So if you want some stickers sending to you, again, just get in touch, drop us an email. Just because we've got some new designs coming soon. So the ones that we've got lying around at the minute, just happy to get them out there and for people to get sticking them around. And finally, like we mentioned before, don't forget to check out the website. We've got tons of new content. We've got some new writers on board. So they're all listening. Listening. I hope they're listening. They're all working on some content pieces that we can publish on the website. So yeah, stick around and keep your eyes out for that, basically. So yeah, cheers, Dan.
Thank you, Jake.
No, thank you. Take care, mate.
Enjoy your honeymoon.
I will. But yeah, cheers, mate.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Brilliant. See you later.